Don't you wish you could have Visual Studio automatically generate boilerplate code for you? Well, it actually has several ways of doing that. In this video, I'll look at the SmartTag feature. For this demonstration, I'll use this project called Using SmartTags. And I'll start by opening up program.cs. I wrote this line of code expecting to have a barn class available inside my project. As you can see, it has a red squiggle underneath it. That's usually a warning that I do not have this class available. So I'm missing a using directive, or I should add an assembly reference. Visual Studio offers correction help when it knows how to fix your error. These are known as smart tags. One of the smart tags is to add a using statement at the top of my document. Now, of course, I can come up here and put a using statement in here, but I don't have a class for that yet. So let's go and create a class. Now, when I hover my mouse over this, if you look carefully, you'll see there's a tiny blue rectangle. Now, if I click carefully with my mouse, it's a very small target, but if you manage to click it successfully with your mouse, you can then see these two smart tags: generate a class for barn or generate a new type. Let's try this first one, generate class for barn. Now, if you look over in my solution, you'll now see a new file, barn.cs. And if I open that up, I'll see I have a very simple class. That was nice. Let's try that again. Go back to program. I'll do the same thing, and this time I'll choose to generate a new type. Now I'm offered a more generous dialog. What kind of type do I want to create? Is it a public type? Is it a class or a struct or an interface or an enumeration? What do I want to call it? I'm going to switch to struct. I'll call it duck, and I'll choose to put it in a separate file called duck.cs, and then I'll click OK. And again, it adds this duck.cs and puts in the public struct. Let's return back to program.cs and talk about another smart tag for adding using statements. I'll delete these two lines of code. This time, I'm saying var fs equal new file stream. Again, I get a red squiggle. Sometimes I find it difficult to activate this smart tag. It is hard to click on that. So there's another magic keystroke you can use in Visual Studio, like Control Spacebar. This time it's Control Period. Control Period activates the smart tag. You see I have two choices. I can add a using statement to the top of my document by clicking here. That should fix my compile error. Or the second choice is go back down here and reactivate the smart tag. Choose to fully qualify the file stream. So when I click on the second item, it changes my code to say system.io.filestream. The next smart tag I want to show you is called generate from usage. Notice on line 17 that I'm instantiating an instance of this customer class, and then I'm setting two properties and then calling a method on that class. If you look over here in my code, you'll see that I have a class that implements first name, last name, full name, and a save method. I'm going to delete this code, return back to program.cs, and I should start getting some red squiggles over here. That's because the code is no longer inside the customer class. I'm going to activate my smart tag by pressing Control Period. One of my choices is to generate a property stub for first name. This is called generate from usage. Now we'll go back over to my customer class and see that it added this property here. So this is a quick way of building up this class from usage. Control Period. Generate property stub, come down here and do the same thing on this line. And then down here in this save method, it should have stubbed in a save method over here. Now, Microsoft's smart. They know that you haven't written any code in here, so they put this line of code in here where it says throw new not implemented exception. If you try to actually call this method, you're going to get an exception in your code so you know, oh yes, I forgot to write the implementation code in this save method. You can also manage your using statements at the top of your document. If you right-click up in this area of the screen, you can choose the Organize Usings. What I can do here is remove my unused usings. That shrunk my using statements down to just a single line. Control Z. And I can also choose to remove them and sort them in alphabetical order, or just sort them in alphabetical order. Visual Studio can enter other lines of code for you. When you add certain code constructs, such as an interface in a C# class definition, Visual Studio gives you the opportunity to automatically generate the code necessary to implement the interface. You can see that my customer class is trying to implement this iConvertible interface. There's that smart tag. Now, if I do a control period, I'll get a smart tag that says implement the interface iConvertible. That's what I want to do, so I'll select this item. And you can see that it wrote in all the methods necessary to meet the requirements of that interface. This is used to convert my type, the customer class, to other types, like to a single or to a uint16 or these other common .NET types. Looks like it wrote about 100 lines of code for me. Smart tags are another part of the IntelliSense tools that are indispensable for writing code in a fast and effective manner.